Hey, what's good, lads? So the UFC is back in the Apex. My voice is a bit fucked right now. But yeah, I'm dedicated to the channel, guys. Subscribe if you haven't already. But yeah, today we're gonna be breaking down Dolidze versus Hernandez. This is actually a somewhat okay card. At least it's not like a women's main event or some shit. But yeah, let's move on, guys, to the first fight, which is Cody Brundage versus Eric McConico. This is a fight that got added very, very last minute. I'm pretty sure it was literally a few days ago. I'm gonna be going with Cody Brundage, dude. Um, yeah, crazy. Cody Brundage getting a win in 2025. The guy's had like a weird. This guy always seems to have like weird fights, dude. Like they always just seem to be like draws or like no contest or like he loses a fight, but then they rule it like they like overturn it. Like he's had a like really weird set of fights. His last like real loss or legitimate one was to Bo Nickel. Um, not a great loss, but it's fucking. But I guess like Bo Nickel had the aura back then, so it wasn't as bad. But yeah, Eric McConico's only had one fight in the UFC, and it was a brutal loss to Sultan Rizaboev. Can't really blame him for that, but the guy has literally just that one fight. You have to go with UFC experience here in Cody Brundage. Cody Brundage, he's obviously not had good UFC experience, but he went to war with Julian Marquez. He was able to get the better of him. I just trust in the experience here. Yeah, Cody Brundage should be able to get this win. Also, bro, when you go against people of this complexion, you often get the fights right. I mean, Devon Blackshear, I kind of like put him off my parlay purely using that logic. So yeah, I don't know what to say, dude. Don't cancel me. Um, I do want to kind of address this a little bit. Gabriel Fernandez did fraud check Wayne Kong via fluke in one of her last outings, not her last one, but yeah, we are rooting against her. You know what I'm saying? Literally fucking subbed my auntie. Um, but yeah, next one, Uros Medic versus Gilbert Urbina. Listen, guys, here at the MMA clinical MMA lab, we're actually really good friends with Uros Medic. If you don't know, his nickname is actually the Doctor. We actually did some sparring sessions together. I helped him on the pads as well to prepare for Gilbert Urbina specifically. I broke down a lot of his footage. Um, and yeah, man, I was telling Medic, dude, like this is a very easy fight for you to win, man. And yeah, I was breaking it down for him. The pads were very, very meticulously done to fit Urbina's style. You know, Medic is a KO guy. He literally like I'm pretty sure like a lot of his fights are just like finishes. Um, like obviously his last one was a bit of a rough one, but yeah, bro, KO first round for him, second round submission by oral by yeah, not great. But yeah, KO to him, KO to him. Yeah, this guy always is out there in a fight that goes to a finish. Yeah, dude, Uros Medic, great friend of the channel, and he'll be able to get this win over Gilbert Ovina by a very clinical KO. But yeah, let's move on. We're back in the kitchen. I did actually see a really funny joke by Lucas Tracy. He like compared Jocelyn Edwards to Leon Edwards during that 3 or 4 pay-per-view when he was just sleepy as fuck. That was pretty funny. But yeah, let's move on, guys. Elijah Smith versus Toshiomi Kazama. This is I think a lot of people are going with Elijah Smith here. Um, he's only had one fight in the UFC. It was to Vince Morales, a guy that lost a close decision to um, what's Chiwiwi's Raul Rosas. Um, he lost to him, and then Elijah Smith also beat him. And it was like a very grappling predominant performance. Elijah Smith showed all right hands, I guess. Um, Toshiomi Kazama's had a few fights. I think he's had three. He's had two brutal KO losses, and then he in his last fight got a sub. To be honest, you kind of have to go with Elijah Smith here. If he was to use his brain a little bit and keep this on the feet, He should just be able to win, maybe get a knockout. The only way he loses this, in my opinion, is if he entertains the ground game a little too much. And Toshi Omi Kazama just gets the better of him. You know, people forget, man. This guy trains with Tetsuro Taro. So, yeah, this guy is a good grappler, but very suspect chin. Elijah Smith, if he uses his brain here, he's going to win. But I can't pick Toshiomi Kazama just based off um, Elijah Smith being a dumbass. So, yeah, I'm picking Smith here to get this done. Julius Walker versus Rafael Cerquiera. Um, Honestly, dude, light heavyweight's a bit of an annoying division to predict because it is kind of 50-50. You don't know what the hell's gonna, you don't know if the guys are gonna go out there and brawl in the first round and try to take each other's heads off. You don't know if they're gonna go out there, be tentative as hell, and it just ends up being insanely close and just 50-50. You don't know who the fuck gets the decision. It's a fucking, I hate this division for predicting, dude. But you have to go with Julius Walker. Um, he has only had one fight in the UFC. It was to Alonzo Menifield, short notice, and he arguably won, to be honest. Which is a really good look, especially since Menifield has recently won as well. Whereas Rafael Cerqueira, he's only had, I think, two fights. One of them was a brutal KO to Turkish bloke Iber Aslan, and then a brutal KO to Modestas Bukauskas. Like, this guy's only had like brutal losses up against a cage in his career. He's probably going to come in at tentative. Julius Walker, he has this like John Jones kind of style where he kind of has these like crafty little tricks like elbows, knees, stuff like that. He should be able to just push Cerqueira up against the cage and just maul him. Um, he doesn't really seem to have the best power, which kind of makes me doubt him a little bit. But like Rafael Cerqueira hasn't shown shit, so you kind of have to go with Julius Walker. Uh, yeah, I think this guy could be a threat for the rankings, to be honest. Seeing how good his showcase was against Menifield, I assume that his gas tank will also be better going forward. So yeah, you have to go with Julius Walker, dude. Could see him being a problem in the light heavyweight division, and he could be ranked level considering how easy it is to get ranked in the division. So yeah, let's move on to Eric Anders versus Christian Leroy Duncan. Um, Dude, do we really need to go in the weeds into this? Like, Eric Anders is just kind of like he's literally just like a 40 to 50 level middleweight. He's able to get unks out of there like Chris Weidman, um, and just like straight up cans. But Leroy Duncan's like a 15 to through 25 guy, dude. He's got decent wins over like guys like Andrei Pulayev, close fights to Gregory Rodriguez. This guy's proven that he can kind of hang at the top level. He's way more well-rounded. Um, yeah, I just trust myself to get this done, dude. I can't be asked to break this down. This is like such an apex fight. So yeah, I'm moving on with Christian Leroy Duncan. Sorry about that. Yeah, I can't be asked to break this fight down fully, dude. Yeah, Christian Leroy Duncan should just be able to get this done. Let me look at through Eric and his career a little bit. Lost to Marc-Andre Barrios. Dude, do I need to say more? Like, Jesus Christ. Lost to Andre Muniz, that's not really a good look either. Yeah, dude, I don't really want to. I can't be asked to break this down, dude. Christian Leroy Duncan should just be able to get this done. He actually has decent wins in the UFC and is still alright. Let's move on. Miles Jones versus Gene Matsumoto. I'm a Gene Matsumoto fan, dude. I think that he's potentially ranked level. I think there's an argument that he won that fight against Rob Font, but this is a little bit of a tricky matchup. Um, because Gene Matsumoto realistically doesn't have the best striking, and I think Miles Jones could just make this ugly. Um, he's also a bit of a dirty fighter. He could like slow it down. Like I think this is going to be a pretty boring fight. I'd really see maybe these guys just go out there and fully scrap. But I feel like there's going to be about a bunch of flat fouls. I think Gene Matsumoto is going to be attempting the takedowns the entire fight. And I think this is going to be a bit of a stalemate the entire time. It's honestly kind of hard to predict who's going to win, but I do trust in Gene Matsumoto um, to be able to mix it up. You know, Felipe Lima was able to beat Miles Jones by mixing it up, and in hindsight, that doesn't age very well on Miles Jones, considering Payne Tabit was able to stop the takedowns way better. So, no, I kind of trust that Gene Matsumoto can mix it up well. He was able to do so against Rob Font. He's a very legit guy. Um, but I do see this fight being kind of boring. Hopefully, Gene Matsumoto gets a ranked opponent, though. I think he definitely could be ranked level in the UFC next. Um, yeah, that's about it. To be honest, though, the experience with Gene Matsumoto kind of discourages me a little bit. He's only had like 4 fights. Miles John has had quite a few, but I do trust in Gene Matsumoto. Dude. He should be able to mix it up here in what I think will probably be a kind of slow fight. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna go with Christian Rodriguez here. You can't go with Philly. I mean, this guy's kind of like made a name off just being a win-loss fighter, but he's just been the win-loss fighter for so long that he's managed to like accrue a lot of like big names on his win-loss record, which like kind of subconsciously turns him into a legend in a lot of people's minds. So yeah, he's that type of fighter, but his last performance was just straight up embarrassing as fuck. He tapped to a guillotine against Melakwis Costa in his last fight. And I mean, why you doing that in 2025, dude? Um, and yeah, you just have to trust Christian Rodriguez here, man. Like, he's probably not gonna get pieced up on the feet badly by Philly. His only real losses to like what Julian Erosa by fluke. I mean, you have to say that's a fluke. I don't know how to explain it. Um, and then and also Malak with El Costa. Those guys are both like submission grapplers. Andre Fili's a stand-up guy with all right wrestling, but Christian Rodriguez should just be able to do all the do Philly like he's done all the other prospects that he's beat by mixing it up, dude. So yeah, I'm just gonna be going with Christian Rodriguez. It did the common sense. I don't know, maybe he might switch it up on us and decide to just lose to a non-prospect. No, this guy's career doesn't make much sense. But yeah, you have to go with the common sense here. Um, Yasmin Lucindo versus Angel Hill, dude. This young man has a lot of talent. Yeah, I'm moving on. Steve Erceg versus Ode Osbourne. Mate, holy layup. Yeah, I think this was originally Steve Erceg versus Alex Perez. Um, yeah, dude, to be honest, I actually was going to pick Alex Perez to get a TKO against Steve Erceg. Um, because I just think Erceg is just a bit of a finishable guy, dude. But yeah, this is just a straight up layup. Already Osborne is just little bit of a striker with a little bit of crafty grappling tricks up his sleeve. But dude, Erceg's just proven that he has the scrambles. He has the stand up to contend on the feet with guys like Moreno and Pantoja and beat Pantoja. Yeah, uh, do I need to break this down, dude? This Ode Osbourne guy literally lost to Ronaldo Rodriguez. So yeah, literally like a guy who doesn't really know how to fight. He's just Mexican. So yeah, Usyk should just be able to get this done. Maybe even by TKO. Maybe we see grappling, a bit more grappling out of Usyk. I don't see him losing this. If he was to lose this, though, I will say it would be a horrible look for the division. I mean, you'd have Ode Osbourne in the top 10. Please, Steve, don't do this shit to us. Yeah, I don't even know what I'd do with my life if Usyk lost this, to be honest. But yeah, this is very short notice. But I just trust that Usyk should just be able to outclass this guy that just doesn't belong here. It should be by decision though. The only guy Usyk's carried is Matt Schnell, who's the chinniest fighter in the UFC. Um, and yeah, I'm picking Usyk too. Very last fight, main event. Anthony Hernandez versus Dolidze. I actually really like this matchmaking. A lot of people online have been saying that they would have done some other shit, maybe giving Anthony Hernandez like a top five guy. Honestly, bro, this is kind of the perfect matchmaking because you have to consider that both of these guys are on streaks. On streaks. You can criticize Roman Dolidze all you want, but this guy is on like a solid streak at the moment, and Anthony Hernandez is too. So yeah, this matchmaking also made a lot of sense, and also from a stylistic point of view, you know, you have Anthony Hernandez, who is obviously a guy who's going to take you down and smother you, but then you have Roman Dolidze, who presents a threat against that with his quick submission ability. So yeah, this was just perfect matchmaking, in my opinion. Anyone that's complaining about this doesn't know the sport very well. Um, but I'm gonna picking Anthony Hernandez here, dude. Like you're telling me that we're gonna have Anthony Hernandez fighting for 5 rounds, and I'm gonna pick against him. Nah, bro, that shit's not happening. Listen, Roman Dolidze, obviously a lot of people really were saying this guy was like he was basically like the Gamrot of middleweight. Um, at some point to a lot of people because he was just kind of like fluking his way up into the rankings by like subbing Jack and Manson. And then he kind of got like fraud checked a little bit against Imvov. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, he had a few rough performances where he just didn't look like a skilled fighter. But now he's on a little bit of a mean streak. You know, he got a win over Anthony Smith, was able to out tit for tat Anthony Smith. He was able to finish Kevin Holland via rib injury. Um, and then he just beat Marvin Vettori, pieced him up. But dude, those wins don't really mean much to me. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, I mean, dude, piecing up Anthony Smith, I mean, come on, man. That's just lighter man skill, right? That example of lighter man skill. Kevin Holland, in hindsight, that win really didn't age very well. Seeing as, you know, Kevin Holland honestly looked kind of small at welterweight against Daniel Rodriguez in his last outing. I mean, imagine how fucking much of a sitting duck he was against a guy like Roman Dolidze. You know what I mean? So yeah, Roman Dolidze would have just been able to fully out physicality him in that fight. Um, and then you have the Marvin Vettori performance. I mean, dude, I honestly think it's a bit more impressive than a lot of people give him credit for. Um, to be able to go 5 rounds against a guy like Marvin and just piece him up the entire time. I think it's a little more impressive than people give him credit for. But it doesn't really say much in a fight against Anthony Hernandez, who will be trying to drown you across the 5 rounds instead of just trying to tit for tat you in a low output fight. Um, so yeah, that those wins don't really mean much. Obviously, he has that wicked grappling threat in the first few, um, which is why you'd pick him. But you can't. I don't think you can trust that, to be honest. And Anthony Hernandez just knows about it. You know what I mean? You can't trust Roman Dolidze to get a sub here early. I honestly think Anthony Hernandez is going to probably try to keep this on the feet in the first few to tire him out. Yeah, I think he's gonna. Yeah, sorry about that, but I think he's gonna have just keep it on the feet in the first few, and you know from there he should just be able to drown Dolidze. Yeah, you have to go with Anthony Hernandez in a 5 round fight. Um, and he's versed like dangerous guys on the feet. You know, Roman Cuff. In hindsight, that Khabib win isn't very good, but even a guy like Michel Pereira before he became Mr. Tentative, he was he was a dangerous guy on the feet. You know what I mean? And Anthony Hernandez was able to survive that like first 30 seconds of cardio Pereira had. So I kind of trust in his ability to survive on the feet here, and just whether what could be an alley storm, it might not even be an alley storm. Like you just have to go with Hernandez here, dude. He is gonna just drown Dolidze. I think he's gonna honestly put on a masterclass here. Either like 49-46 decision, maybe even like you could see 10-8 rounds to Hernandez here, to be honest. It could be a TKO, it could be sub, I don't know. But you have to go with Hernandez here, in my opinion. I think he's gonna put on a masterclass. Um and yeah, I'm a fan of Roman Dolidze. You know, he is a Georgian fighter. Um and you know, I think he is pretty cool outside the octagon. But yeah, unfortunately, I think his time has come. And Anthony Hernandez is going to put on a masterclass here. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna be putting timestamps in the description for you guys to watch what you want to watch. And yeah, if you made it this far, please subscribe to the channel, dude. Trying to stay consistent. As you can hear, my voice is fucked, but yeah, I'm still here for you guys. And yeah, we will be recapping this event after, and we will be watching Drake to best Hamza the following week, and we are back in the Apex for a while. So yeah, see you guys. Goodbye.